Oh, now we're recording. So we're going first to the approval of previous minutes. Yes. Are there any revisions to the draft minutes? Kit says yes. Oh, is that you can hear me? Okay. So I'm not seeing any here, and I'm not seeing any in the chat. Now you can't hear it all. I'm sorry. I don't. Is that better with the camera? All these technical things. Okay, great. So, sorry, now you can see my face. Okay, now we have another help. Hey, okay. So back to the previous minutes. Can we have a motion for approving previous minutes? And okay, hold on. We're still working with microphones. Oh. Okay. Wow, everybody in here can hear me for sure. Okay, so Tammy from Grays Lake has moved to vote for the approving the minutes from the last meeting. And do we have a unanimous consent? Oh, thank you. Anita from Lake Villa was seconded. So now we can do this. Do we have unanimous consent? Aye. Any nays? Great. Thank you. Are there any additions to the agenda for today? Anybody? No? Okay. So moving on, and we get to do officer reports, which I don't have one, but we can. There goes the mic again. Okay, sorry. So one suggestion has been if we introduce ourselves. So my name is Ross Shanley Roberts, and I'm the head of tech services at Mount Prospect Public Library. I have been working in libraries for longer than everybody in the room has been alive. So, and I'm very proud of that. There's a lot of things that I'm very interested in working on, but I just want to hold off on doing that. So now I'm going to ask our vice chair to introduce herself.
Hello. Adrienne Galindo. I'm the lead, the cataloging librarian at Palatine. I've been there for about 5 years now.
And our secretary, Alex, as I said, is doing this virtual. So, Alex, you can introduce yourself virtually.
Hello, I am Alex Smith. I work at the Vernon Area Public Library, and I am head of collection services there. And I have been in libraries for about 11 years.
Great. Thank you, Alex. Okay. Now we are going to move on to the CCS staff reports, starting with Rebecca. She's going to go over things like Biblicore launch, Polaris updates, and our new migrations.
Thank you. I have hair in my mouth. Okay. Thanks, Rachel. Rachel's like Vanna White, and I love it. So Deborah can't be here today. She is under the weather, so I am filling in. I wanted to start by just acknowledging that we did have a staffing change at CCS. Molly Mansfield is no longer with CCS. We are currently working on plans on how to move forward with that position. We do intend to hire another cataloging technical services focused staff member. So I just wanted to assure you that we will continue to be providing ample services in that area. And we will let you know when we know what our next steps are going to be. So, sign in, cross-reminded you. All right, we're going to start with the BiblioCore launch. We had a rough few weeks. Sure, Deborah's sick. We had performance issues. There were kind of two different problems that probably were related. The issues affected all BiblioCore customers. BiblioCore, at the end of each sort of outage situation or system problem, they will, yeah, you could just turn off the camera too. I don't be on there. At the end of each, issue that they resolve, they publish a reason for outage, and that has not been published yet. So we can't share additional information. That should include the root cause of the problem as well as what the fix was and how to prevent it moving forward. We just haven't seen that document yet. So the two separate issues were the increase in 500 and we're very sorry errors, which was resolved first, and then the indexing delays, which took a lot longer to resolve. We are still learning kind of all the back end server connector setup is with BiblioCore. This has been frustrating and enlightening. And we have a lot of follow-up questions that we want to work through with BiblioCommons. So hopefully we'll be getting you all some more information. I understand that this was a bad few weeks and that this was really disruptive to all of your work, and I apologize for that. We will, again, be sharing some very vigorous feedback, firm feedback, and we'll see what happens moving forward. So thank you for your patience. If you have further issues, please let us know. As a reminder, this is how the BiblioCore sync should happen regularly. Hourly syncs manage record additions, including updates to existing records, changes in item statuses, and hold counts. So these pieces are not necessarily instant. This hourly sync happens, and so if you add a new bib within an hour, that should be in BiblioCommons. So if you go and check it immediately, you're going to probably be disappointed unless you just got it at the right time. Nightly, there's a corrections process that handles, that kind of reviews everything and updates, does deletions, updates, additions, admin changes, everything else that may not have been caught during an hourly sync. One kind of exception to this things are not instant component is that when you click on the link that says, when you're on the search results and you click into the item availability information, that's going to do a live API call and give you actual availability information. So every once in a while, it may be different than what's displayed on the search results, but if you click it, you'll get that information. Likewise, if you click into the full display, that availability information at the bottom will be live. Questions? Can we get you a mic?
Michael from Glenview. So the hourly update, are the hourly updates, are those item records then changes that are being updated? You're saying that the nightly records are for bib change updates?
Sorry, that was really loud. My understanding is that both items and bibs are being updated in that hourly sync, but that like maybe additional indexing happens overnight. There was a lot of talk of like tubes and toboggans and like queues. So we do want to review everything with BiblioCore again. But both bibs and items are caught during the hourly sync. And then this corrections process is a little mysterious to me, but it's sort of like a health check, let's say.
Ross from Mount Prospect. Do we know, or are they keeping it secret, what they're indexing and how they're indexing? I would like to know, because I would like to know what fields in a bib record really matter to their indexing or not, especially with the how they're pulling things together to have all of the works on that one record, where they're pulling it from, because we haven't put anything in there.
Yeah, I would say that I would imagine the roll-ups or the groupings are somewhat proprietary, and that they're not necessarily going to share all that information, but we can double check. I believe the information on indexing is probably in their documentation, so we can review that, and if it's not there, get some different answers. Okay. Hearing no more. Oh, anything in the chat? I see it. Okay. All right. So next I want to cover some upcoming changes for e-content record display. And so this section is a little robust, so bear with me. I'm going to ask that you hold your questions until I get through the slides. Deborah's done a great job of putting these together, and I think that they all kind of build on each other. So you might immediately be like, what? And have a million questions. But like, let's get through it, and then I will definitely take questions. So due to issues with how e-content is scoped in BiblioCore, governing board voted last week, yikes, to temporarily suppress non-integrated e-content in the catalog. This is temporary because CCS will be conducting additional user research and make a recommendation for a permanent solution later in FY 2027, so before July. A quick review, just so we're all on the same page. Integrated e-content, there's two kinds of e-content in BiblioCore and Polaris. There's integrated e-content and non-integrated e-content. So integrated e-content is not changing. Integrated e-content are those that the records are automatically imported into the system through the API. Users can interact with the material in the catalog. So there's a checkout button, there's a placehold button. They are synced to the user's account. These are, in BiblioCore, these are Overdrive and Cloud Library. So nothing is changing with Overdrive and Cloud Library. Where we will see some changes is in non-integrated e-content. So what is non-integrated e-content? These are records that are manually loaded into Polaris either by CCS or by member libraries. The records appear in catalog search results, but the records, you can't like check anything out. You get like maybe a link to the external resource, but it's just no placing holds, no checking out. Some of these are individual title records for each material within the tool, like Hoopla, LinkedIn Learning, those things that kind of have discrete pieces inside that we can catalog. And some of them are MARC records just for like a resource, like maybe Auto Repair Reference Center or something might come up. So these records include a link, as I said, that push the patron out to the vendor's platform to access the material. In PowerPack, this is really sleek and like, is it the best thing about PowerPack? Yes. Records are scoped using something called the Polaris Resource Group. So those happen on the back end, and CCS maintains those. And essentially there's a resource group for every library, and within the resource group, there's vendor records for all these different resources that your library has. So Polaris knows who they belong to, like which patrons can have access to them. So when you're in PowerPack, logged in users only see the e-content they can access, regardless of which site they're visiting. So if I'm at Glenview, but I'm a Northbrook patron, if I log in to the Glenview PowerPack, I'm only going to see Northbrook e-content. If I'm not logged into the Glenview PowerPack, it obviously doesn't know who I am, and I will only see Glenview e-content. These behaviors are true whether the user is searching all member libraries or a specific library, as long as e-content is included in that search filter. The scoping setup is handled in-house by CCS with support from our members, so we can kind of maintain that as we go and make changes as we need to. Scoping at BiblioCore is different. So the scoping is based on the library site being used, regardless of the user's registered library. And that's the same for Vega Discover also. Like all of these, PowerPack is pretty unique in how it managed e-content. Within BiblioCore, it does not recognize the resource groups. That's just not content that BiblioCore has. So it's using library-specific URLs in the 856 to determine which library owns which record. So if the e-content URLs do not have a library-specific component to the URL, they cannot be scoped in BiblioCommons, with like one exception. So some of the records cannot be scoped at all. Another difference is that searching all partner libraries in BiblioCommons will return all e-content for all members, not just the e-content for the site that's being visited. Only if that search is limited to the site being visited will it scope what it can. Another hiccup is that scoping is configured by BiblioCommons support. So it's kind of a multi-part process. CCS or members work together to figure out which part of the 856 can be used to scope. And then CCS opens a ticket with BiblioCommons, and then we wait and see if they can scope it or will scope it. So they've been really helpful. They've scoped a lot of stuff for us, but they are limited in kind of how many hoops they'll jump through for specialized records. So I'll briefly pull this up if I can. So here we have a record for Learning Express Library. I'm on the Grayslake catalog, and I am searching Grayslake Area Public Library only. And I see there's a record for Learning Express Library, and it says all copies in use, view location availability. And this is what I get. So as a patron, this is not a helpful record. Grayslake may or may not own this. I think that they don't, and that's why Deborah included it as an example. Sorry, I've got screen busyness. Another example is I'm going to reshare people online. I have not forgotten you. Okay. Exit show. Here we go. So here I'm searching for Niche Academy at Crystal Lake Public Library. And if I click in here, this is also empty. If I click on the full record, I can see there's some more information about the tool, and I go to full details and original record. I might be like, I can maybe see the 856. And so I can see in this 856, that there are multiple URLs, but still not giving like helpful information to a patron. So what do we do? The database management suggested that we remove non-integrated e-content from the catalog, or non-integrated e-content that can't be properly scoped from the catalog, which seems like a very reasonable thing to do. However, when Deborah began researching this to carry out the recommendation from database management, she quickly found out that this requires extensive review of individual records and requires manual updates to each individual record and each individual URL, and that every URL would have to be checked because they haven't necessarily been updated when libraries maybe discontinued a resource, maybe there's broken links, all sorts of different link issues are happening, and someone, either at CCS or a member library, would have to go through a gajillion records, link by link, and perhaps get new URLs from the vendor or from the libraries like EasyProxy, input them, test them, and then send it to BiblioCommons and say like, hey, can you scope this? It's a huge time investment. And it's a huge time investment for something that we're not even sure is useful to patrons. In our initial user testing, again, we're going to do more testing with more patrons. Patrons made comments like, oh, why would I look for databases in the catalog? Why would I look for that kind of thing in the library catalog? Those are not all patrons, right? Like some people certainly use the library differently, and so that's why we want to do some more research. But initial indications are like, maybe this isn't so useful. So we took a different recommendation to governing board than database management, although we shared database management's recommendation with them, to temporarily suppress all non-integrated e-content records that are not scoped until further research is completed. So again, this is non-integrated, Cloud Library, Overdrive, not involved. And it's records that can't be scoped. So on the next page, I'll show you what that excludes. The benefits are that suppression will keep all the records in the database for future use if we decide that we need them. So it's more flexible than going in and starting just taking everything out. Maybe we find there's certain resources that are more helpful and we can focus our attentions on those. Again, if we take them out, putting them back in is probably a non-starter for various reasons. So with this decision, in addition to Overdrive and Cloud Library, there are other resources that will continue to display. So Hoopla and Flipster will continue to display. And we have scoping in progress for LinkedIn Learning, Comics Plus, Canopy, and Creative Bug. As our next steps, by the end of August, we will suppress the remaining non-integrated e-content records. In the second half of this fiscal year, so again, like January to July, CCS will conduct additional research and make a recommendation for a permanent solution. Do we keep these records and fix them? Do we keep a subset of these records? Do we remove them? And CCS will continue to maintain e-content holdings for everything on this slide. I'm ready for questions. As ready as I'll ever be, let's say.
This is Lauren at Park Ridge. I don't know how incredibly related this is, but I use the 856 in records for our exploration library items to link instructions for our exploration library, and they used to show up in our pack, and now in BiblioCommons they don't. So I wonder if it's even being indexed. 856, I can't figure it out.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll ask Rachel to take a note. I mean, I'm thinking they're just not displaying, but that seems like content we'd want to make sure is accessible to the patrons. So Rachel, you don't know the answer. Do you know the answer?
I have to look at the records. Can you submit a ticket so I have examples?
Yeah. Yeah, so 856s display differently, or not at all. So yeah, we'll definitely look into that. What about things that are not for scoping?
I want to make sure I understand something. So Overdrive is an integrated resource. Hoopla is a non-integrated resource. So it's not that we're not going to display just the non-integrated, because I see you have here that Hoopla will continue to display, even though it's not integrated.
Yeah, so the records that are consistent and have correct URLs in them that we can scope are still included. The sticky bit is that for some records, let's say Creative Bug right now, we're going to fix Creative Bug, but maybe the records are scopable for some libraries, but not for all libraries. And so if there's one library on that record where the URL isn't scoped, it's going to present the same set of problems that if they would present if none of the 856s were scopable. So Hoopla and Flipster just have a very clear link structure. And so we were able to work with BiblioCommons to scope those properly.
Okay, so I think a clear way to ask my question is then it's not whether or not it's an integrated resource, it's just whether there are issues with the 856 that will determine whether or not it's displayed.
Yeah, and we know that there are issues with all of the 856s except for these. Yeah.
Michael, Glenview, do you have a record set or a report of the records that are being suppressed, or is there a way for us to identify those records?
That is a good question. Certainly once they're suppressed, you could look for e-content. You could do a simply report for things that have the display and pack box unchecked, because the suppression will happen in Polaris. It's not happening on the BiblioCommons side. I do not believe that we are it's all non-integrated e-content except for these things. So we do have a list on our website of which libraries have which non-integrated e-content loaded in the catalog, so you can refer to that and see what would affect your library.
Hi, Jessica from Northbrook. So I know we're like a unique consortium in the fact, clearly with all these problems that are coming up and everything. Do you have any hope that presented with all these challenges, BiblioCorps will give you some special permission to handle these types of things? Or are we always going to be at their mercy to whether something can be fixed so that it acted in the same way that it did when we were on PowerPack?
So is your question, do I think that BiblioCommons will give us like enhanced access that other customers don't have to like administration, or that they'll do development for us or something?
Yes.
Okay, all of it. Okay. The short answer right now is I don't know. The longer answer is that they are actively recruiting consortial customers. And so they want to be attractive to consortia. And so we are continuing to push on that. And every time we have the opportunity, we're like, well, this would be a lot more useful if they are very selective about the customer driven development that they do. There is an idea, I don't know what it's called. There is like an idea exchange thing with BiblioCommons. So we can send that information out as well. It's early days, we haven't gotten too far into that, but it does exist and we have been referred to it by support when we're like, why does this work like this? Any questions in the chat? Nothing's happening. All right. Anything else in the room?
Ross again from Mount Prospect. From what I understand, PowerPack will still be available to us for ever. Is that true-ish?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, well, yeah, PowerPack is included with the Polaris subscription. Like our contract with Polaris doesn't change not using it, so we can't like save a few bucks by getting rid of that server. So yes, PowerPack is still available. However, when we suppress the e-content, it's going to suppress it from both systems. All right, we will be sending additional updates as this work is happening. It does not seem like this is a popular decision based on the faces that I can see. So I, again, want to reassure you that we will be doing some additional research on this to figure out what to do. And if the patrons come back and they're like, oh my God, I can't see the stuff that I used to see, and how do I get there, and what am I going to do? We will find a different solution. What that looks like, I don't know. We're going to do our research first and see what the users are telling us.
Kathy from McHenry. I do have a question. When Ross was asking about how long we're going to have access to PowerPack, I'm asking because I'm not exactly sure when I'm in Polaris and I want to check the pack view of my bib records. I work primarily in the client because I'm most familiar there and more efficient there. It seems I'm linking out to PowerPack, but then I get like weird on some records that there's no display. So I don't know what exactly I'm pointing to and what the client points to when I'm looking to see, do my synthetics covers match? If I'm looking at the pack view, what are my patrons seeing? So I don't know what, and if the indexing with BiblioCommons is going to be hourly, how would you recommend working through this?
Like, first I want to clarify your question, and then I am going to give one answer that you don't like, and then I'm going to give Rachel I'm going to have Rachel give you a real answer. Because Rachel's here and she knows things. So when you're working in the staff client, the pack view link is not consistently working, is that correct?
The pack view link, I don't know if it's taking me to BiblioCore or if it's taking me to PowerPack. What I see, what's working is PowerPack, and it makes me wonder when some of the links don't work, if it's pointing to BiblioCore.
No, it definitely would not be pointing to BiblioCore. As far as some of the links not working, I would defer to Rachel on why that might be, or suggest open a ticket so we can look into it. Here's my unpopular answer. In Leap, you can see the images right there, and you've got a little tab to look at pack view right there. But I'll let Rachel give you the real answer that you want to hear, which is what I'm just, I'm just a public services librarian. Like, I said it would be unpopular. Rachel?
Well, I do regularly have problems with the links from the staff client not actually working. So it's best to test them directly in PowerPack or BiblioCore to make sure they're working.
Thank you.
But I'm not sure exactly why that happens, but it might be just a staff client issue.
So Rachel, your suggestion is to like keep PowerPack open in a separate window and like drop that bib ID in to check into the URL? Okay.
Yeah. But if you want to submit specific examples to tickets, I'd be able to take a look at it.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes. Hi, Kathy. This is Ross again. I agree. The client works better if you're a cataloger. It works better if LEAP works better if you're not a cataloger who doesn't mind pushing the plus or minus signs and moving around with a mouse forever.
More clicks, the better.
There we go. Did you hear her, Rebecca? Could you repeat that, please, for the record?
It was a joke. I said the more clicks, the better.
There we go. So I agree. I find it much better to work in the client as a cataloger than LEAP, but they seem to be working on all the links working through LEAP and not through the client. They're not keeping up client.
Yeah. Again, Polaris, Innovative, Clarivate, all of them have given no indication that like the client is going to go away. But what we tell people, what we tell incoming library staff, incoming libraries, is that development is happening in LEAP, and that the development in the staff client is fixes, necessary fixes. So yeah, we'll look into this link issue. We'll submit tickets to Innovative, and we may not get a very productive answer. But Rachel has a workaround, so thank you, Rachel. Speaking of Polaris, item record slowness. How many of you have experienced this in the staff client, item record slowness? Look at all these, just about everyone's hand went up. Okay. So libraries have reported slowness working with items in the staff client, and this is not unique to CCS, which I always think is great news, mostly because it will get fixed faster. Support has been able to replicate the issue. They've spun up some other servers to like test it and determine what's happening. It's moved from support and engineering to the cloud team. So they are testing and we are waiting to see what happens. It has been escalated to all the places we can escalate it, and we will give you updates as we have them. So again, it is good news that that is actively being worked on by cloud, and that we've gotten that confirmation. So we will anxiously await the results.
Heather from Lake Villa. I just wanted to clarify, do you mean literal item records or all records? Because saving bibliographic records takes a very long time as well.
I believe this issue is literally item records, Rachel?
That's what's been reported in the tickets.
Okay. Are bib records taking longer to load than usual, or they just take longer than usual? Yeah, so definitely let us know, especially if you can give us an estimate, like actually use a timer and like start and stop and be like, it's consistently taking 35 seconds. That's bonkers. It shouldn't take 35 seconds. So
when I'm saving, the whole system grays out.
Yeah.
That's how long it takes.
Yeah, I mean, that happens to me in the staff client doing other stuff too, like the Windows do weird stuff. That happened to me in the again, we are going to look into it. Send us a ticket. Again, when you do submit things like this, saying like, oh, it takes a long time is good, but saying like, I've timed 16 different records, and each time it took greater than X number of seconds, I used a timer. So that is like data that we can send them and say like, no, they're not exaggerating. Like, this is a real problem that is impacting their day-to-day work. Sandy is noting that the import queue also takes forever to refresh. That's also true in LEAP. All right. Yeah. Okay, so everything is slow. Is there anything not slow?
I just wanted to say, if this is Adrienne from Palatine, if you are having issues where you're like, it's graying out or you're getting kicked out or it's just like freezing completely, we all had that issue at Palatine for a little while, and we had to have our IT department work with, it was like beyond collection services ability to like solve it. So you might want to like try that, just an idea.
Yes, so the situation at Palatine required adding in IP addresses to something different than what they use for restrictions for the staff client. So if you submit a ticket and are having problems, again, by having that IP address range set up for additional issues that they've been doing with Palatine.
Sounds very mysterious. It worked. It worked just good.
Kathy from McHenry. I've had both the client and Leap in cataloging be slow to the point where I've had sessions open in both of them so I could attempt to get something done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that does not seem like a productive use of time, so we'll dig into this. Rachel.
One tip I have about Leap is that when you find it slow, especially with like the import jobs queue and bibliographic bulk change reports, item reports, or item bulk change reports and import reports, I recommend opening an incognito browser, which is the terms for Chrome. But if you use some other browser, it would be a private browser. It does speed up Leap significantly, although it's still slow when opening up the import jobs queue, but it's not as slow.
Interesting.
So I've gotten in the habit of always using the incognito browser when working in Leap.
I wonder if like the browser cache, like browser data is just slowing things down. Interesting. All right, I'm going to make Rachel tell me everything about slowness later. But yes, please submit tickets so we can refer to specific tickets with specific information in them. Oh, this isn't in the slides, but we had issues with PowerPack again, so we're pushing back on why have we had multiple issues. Likely does not affect you all as much, but if you have cranky colleagues, we are actively working on it. Rolling Meadows and Wakanda. We have a go live schedule. Yay! Mieko and the migration team worked with the innovative migration team to test out a new load process, and it saved a significant amount of time in loading. So we have one less offline day than we did last year. So I'm very excited about that. I think we all want fewer still, but one day off is a start. So the schedule is up on your screen. Like with other migrations, Rolling Meadows and Wakanda will go offline earlier than the rest of our libraries. So their data will be extracted on the 15th overnight. And then when they come in the morning on the 16th, they will be in offline, and Innovative will start their work on the data load. CCS libraries will be offline starting the morning of October 17th. So your IT staff may be like making changes to self-checks the night of the 16th if they are night owls and not early birds. All CCS will be offline 17, 18, 19. And then on Tuesday, we anticipate that all of the libraries will resume Polaris activity first thing in the morning. It'll be similar to other times, no changes to bibs, items, anything, no access to the client. Maybe take a vacation. Any questions about this? Anita said, thank you for not doing it at the beginning of the month so it doesn't affect monthly reports. Yes, I will give a shout out to our post-project surveys that we do and for people submitting them and giving us real feedback, because when we get real feedback, we can make real changes. So happy we could accommodate that. And we're going live on my birthday. So what an exciting present for me. If there's no other questions, I'm done.
Right, the next section of the staff report is from me. I'm Rachel Fisher. And the first topic is the subject heading update. So major changes have been made to the LCSH terms for trans people and indigenous people. Transsexual headings have been updated to trans headings. Many of the Indians headings have been updated to indigenous people's headings. So I've already updated the bibliographic records for the headings that have been changed. There are tables in the packet depicting all of the changes that were made. However, the efforts to change the LCSH terms for indigenous peoples are going to take place over a very long time. So there's still going to be a lot of Indians headings in the catalog because LCSH has not made those changes yet, as well as the children's headings that are not part of the working group's efforts to change the heading. There are some important points that I would like to point out about the new heading change because the indigenous peoples headings are not specific to America. It does require using the geographic subdivisions, but the placement of these are going to be different depending on the subfield X subdivision. So on this slide, I've included an image from the approved website, the approved list of headings website. There is a link to that website in the packet so that you can go to that and review all of the headings. If you do like Control F for indigenous peoples, you'll find them. There's a lot of other headings in that list too, though. So on the screen, there's an example where you will see agriculture in the subfield X. Next to that in the red box is the abbreviation for may subdivide geographically, change the geographic subdivision. So you can also do a search, Control F on that page for the terms may subdivide geographic using those abbreviations. And you can see that after that, that would have a geographic subdivision in the subfield Z after agriculture in the subfield X. However, there's a number of subdivisions in the subfield X that do not have the geographic subdivision coming after it. It's required before it. So on this image, you can see antiquities is going to be in the subfield X, but it does not have the may subdivide geographically abbreviation. So here, the geographic subdivision has to come before the subfield X and after indigenous peoples in the subfield A. So it can be a bit confusing, and I recommend just reviewing all of the new headings in the document for approved headings that are listed in the packet, and just referring to it, bookmark it and refer to it if you have any questions on what's correct for these new headings. So in the packet, I do have a schedule for the Backstage Library Works services for the year. and I put it on the slide. The batch processing for August has been postponed to September 17th. That will happen after the authority notification. Service records have been uploaded to the database. So the ones that are labeled batch processing in the schedule are the ones that will only require the restrictions to cataloging tasks. And I know the import jobs queue was mentioned earlier. So in the past, we've been retaining 3 months of reports in the import jobs queue. We've tried going down to 2 months, but we did still find that that can be slow to load. So we discussed the issue at scrap and also sent out a question to the acquisitions listserv about the usefulness of the reports and how long they would like to keep the reports in the import jobs queue. So we do plan to decrease the amount of reports retained to 1 month, and we will be deleting that extra month that we still have in the database soon. So hopefully that will improve the time that it takes to load. But if you still experience any slowness with the import jobs queue or in Leap, I do recommend using the incognito browser. I recommend just trying to import in Leap if you're having trouble importing in the staff client while using the incognito browser or private browser. I know that many of you don't want to switch to Leap, but those that have tried it have found that it's faster to import records using Leap with the incognito browser. Are there any questions about the staff report so far?
Hi, Ross. So the import job reports, are they backed up somewhere else, or when they're deleted, they're gone?
When they're deleted, they're gone.
Sandy in the chat says, on an unrelated note, I'm very excited that the LCGFT has added memoirs as a heading and changed buildings romance to coming of age fiction.
Are there any other questions on the staff report? Okay, I did not put up slides for the scrap report. The scrap report is next. The link to the recording and minutes are in the packet. Scrap held a virtual meeting on July 15th. And I'll just provide a brief summary. So I provided an overview of a project to revise the bibliographic input standards page to be aligned with the adoption of the official RDA toolkit in May. So this will happen in May 2027. Scrap members will review a draft of the revision to the bibliographic input standards page and discuss it at the next meeting. Members approved a motion to recommend that CAMM allows the 856 tag for cover images for unique local material and material that does not have a single UPC or EAN in the database. So we'll come back to that in a second. The staff at Algonquin brought the discussion on video game edition statements and when a new record is needed to Scrap. Scrap agreed that an edition statement for a game that only has a one-time use code for a special suit is unimportant and can be on the same record as the regular edition. So I will be working on a section on when to use new records for video games for the Catalogers Wiki page on when to use a new record. The members also reviewed a number of Catalogers Wiki pages to provide suggestions for revisions. So the list of those changes that I made already are in the packet. And they also, as I mentioned, discussed the import jobs queue and felt that 1 month was a reasonable amount of time for retaining reports. So are there any questions on the scrap report? Okay, so moving on to the 856 cover image. So I'm going to provide some background and information on the topic before we move on to voting on it. So the local practice for 856 tags has been to delete URLs for cover images. If a record has an ISBN, UPC, or EAN, the cover image can come from Synthetics. The CCS staff can upload cover images to Synthetics to make corrections or add one that is missing. Synthetics can't supply a cover image for a local item that is missing an ISBN, UPC, or EAN, or if it's in the subfield Z instead of the subfield A. However, BiblioCore does have the ability to use a URL in the 856 tag for local items when Synthetics can't apply a cover image. The CCS staff reviewed a request to change the policy to allow cover images in the 856 tag for local items. So in order to accommodate local images in BiblioCore, CCS recommends that the 856 tag for cover images should only be allowed in records for local material, a material that does not have a single UPC or EAN. The library must host the image in a drive that can produce a link that will allow public access to the image. So this could be in Google Drive or SharePoint or some other drive that would produce a link. All of their covered images should be removed from bibliographic records so that we can use the image from Synthetics. So SCRAP discussed it at the last meeting and they voted to approve the motion to recommend that CAMM allows the 856 tag for cover images for unique local material, a material that does not have a single UPC or EAN in the CCS database. So here's an example of a record from Glenview. It's kind of small, but the image is from BiblioCore. And the example of the record does show a UPC, but they chose to put it in a subfield Z instead of a subfield A, which means that, oh, it's not sharing. 1 second. Sorry about that. Okay, so for the people online, here is the image from the Glenview catalog from BiblioCore. And next to that is the bibliographic record. So it's probably very hard for you to see on the screen in person, but you can see once we send out the slide, you'll see that the 024 has a subfield C in it and not a subfield A. So if you did want to keep a subfield A in it, I'd be able to upload the image to Synthetics. However, the subfield Z can help to prevent the records from being deduplicated. So if someone else imported a record from OCLC for the same thing, and it might view it as a duplicate if it was in a subfield A and automatically deduplicate it. So the benefit of having it in the subfield C would mean that the Synthetics image would also not show, and we could use the URL and the 856 in BiblioCore to have an image appear in BiblioCore. Are there any questions about the issue or any comments? I see no questions or comments. The next thing on the agenda is to vote on the motion. Alex, I know it's getting close to the time you needed to leave. Do you want me to have one of the other officers facilitate the motion, or did you want to go ahead and do it?
I think I'll be able to handle it.
Okay, great. So on the screen is an example motion statement, but you are welcome to change it if you wanted to change the wording of it. Alex, you can go ahead with facilitating the voice vote.
So I need somebody to make this motion, correct?
Kathy from McHenry, I make the motion as written.
Do I have a second?
This is Nora from Prospect Heights. I second.
Am I allowed to just say, is this unanimous? Unanimous consent, or do we have to do the whole?
You can ask if anyone is opposed to it.
Is anybody opposed?
I do not see anyone raising their hand.
I do not see anything in the chat. So passes with unanimous consent.
Yay. Okay, so before we move on to presentations, I do just want to review some slides in here on the format because it's very, very specific for BiblioCore. So there's one question.
Thank you. Anita from Lakevilla. So on the images, now that we've voted, can we start adding? I've got somebody who's already asked me to do this.
Yes.
We can start now, or do we have to wait for another group?
You can start now.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. No other groups need to vote on the motion. When you do add the URL to the cover image, it does need to have the indicator, the first indicator of 4, the second indicator of 2. In the subfield Z or 3, although we usually use Z, it does need to have the word cover image. It's very specific. You need to capitalize the C and the I. It has to have the word cover image like that so that they can find it. And then the URL goes in the subfield U. So on the slides, and I'll send this out later, are the specifications for the image. So it can be in a JPEG, GIF, or PNG format. The image size needs to be 268 pixels wide by 402 pixels high. If you have something that's like a bit different, we can still test it, I think. But if it's close to this, it should be fine. You can use any file naming convention that is convenient for you and ensure that each image has a unique file name. The image can be stored anywhere as long as they are publicly accessible. So Google Drive or Google Pictures would be fine as long as you make that link shareable to the public. Are there any other questions about the image specification? I will be updating the Catalogers Wiki soon, and we'll send out a link to that. One moment. So the next thing on the agenda is Pamela Thomas from CMC. So I'm going to let Pamela share.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for letting me join you.
One moment.
Sure.
You're fairly quiet.
Okay, let me turn my volume up. Maybe. All right, hang on, let me get this set up and then I'll mess with that. Hang on. Okay. Although maybe I should have done it then. That's what I get. Can you, hang on, I think I can do it from here, maybe. Did that help at all? Can you hear me better now?
Yes.
Yes, maybe. I'll just talk with my really big voice and then you should be able to hear me. Okay. Again, thanks for letting me join you. I'm just going to do a brief presentation on how the CMC can hopefully help you. And please call me Pam. All right. So if you don't know anything about us, we are funded through the state library, and we provide statewide cataloging support for Illinois libraries, including free original and copy cataloging of eligible special collections, consultation on metadata projects, database cleanup for LSAPs, cataloging training, and more. Some of our free services, we provide free cataloging of Illinois authors, history and genealogy, government documents, microfilm, and special collections. And we let each library define what a special collection is for them, but it might include world language materials, kits, binge boxes, regalia, theses, dissertations, or library things. We also have free cataloging related courses in Moodle via the Share training portal. We offer monthly August through May online with the CMC webinars on cataloging related topics with a Q&A following the presentation. We have an online cataloging request form when you don't want to send your physical items in for cataloging or when you shouldn't. And when I say when you shouldn't, it's because they're older or more fragile. Please don't send those through delivery. We do database cleanup, usually for consortia. Most of the staff have gone through NACO training, so we can create authority records, names, titles, and subjects. And several of us have gone through the OCLC merge training, so we can merge duplicate records in connection. And here are our upcoming Online with the CMC webinars. So next month, we've got Press Start Cataloging Games with RDA, and that will be September 10th. Typically, our Online with the CMCs are the second Thursday. You'll notice that the October one is the third Thursday because most of us will be at ILA, and we are not going to try to do a webinar and attend a conference at the same time. So in October, we'll have Do You Catch My Drift? Cataloging Drift in your ILS, and that's October 15th, and these are all at 10 a.m. And if you can't attend the live, go ahead and register in L2, and we'll send out the recording link afterwards, and you can watch it at your own leisure. November, we've got Marking My Territory, Adventures in Cataloging. That's November 12th. And then in December, we have What's It All About, the use of genre and LCSH subdivisions. And then in January 14th, we have AI in the Library World Part 4, because Eric likes to talk about AI. He does have a love-hate relationship with AI, but he always has something new to discuss, so that should be a good one. And then our metadata cataloger, Kat Annenberg, will be doing metadata basics and focusing on mods on February 11th of 2027. And then we have our March through May TBD. Some of you may or may not know, I am retiring November 30th. So we are leaving those open for my replacement if they possibly want to do a spring one. Otherwise, we do have 3 ready to go, but the rest of these are added in L2, so please register in L2 for any that interests you. We also do cataloging training. So Eric will be teaching Focus on Deriving a Record. That's September 21st through October 4th. He will also be doing cataloging basics November 2nd through December 13th. Mary is bringing back the Focus on World Language cataloging class. It's been a few years since we offered that. So that's going to be November 2nd through 15th. And Mary's taking over my Focus on Serials cataloging class, and they will be offering that January 11th through 24th. And then Eric's going to be teaching cataloging basics class again. That's March 1st through April 11th. Notice that is a 6-week class, and he does offer that typically at least twice a year. And then Mary will be offering the focus on DDC, and Eric will be teaching the focus on LCC, and then Ryan will be teaching focus on NLM, and those three are all two new 2-week focus on classes that we've been asked to provide. So hopefully one or both or all three of those will be of interest to somebody. And please register in L2 for those. And we do have the entire FY 2027 in L2. Okay, so I want to just switch a little towards our statistics. So we do fiscal year July 1 through June 30th. So during fiscal year 2026, we originally cataloged 2,144 items, enhanced 3,035 records for 124 different libraries. And then not shown in the chart, CMC staff created or enhanced 227 name, series, subject, and title authority records, and merged 376 bibliographic records for books, ebooks, and visual materials in OCLC, not related to database cleanup. Okay, and I forgot to mention these slides are available. Rachel and Deborah both have them. They'll share them with you later. Telling you that because I do have some links that you will be able to access when you have the slides. We also did a lot of world language cataloging. So during FY 2026, CMC staff originally cataloged or enhanced records in 55 different world languages. And just remember, if you have some world languages you'd like us to catalog, it needs to be part of a special collection. The training that we provided during FY 2026, we presented 10 webinars with 422 live attendees. We offered 11 courses with 170 successful completers, and we presented at 18 conferences or consortial meetings with 717 attendees for 717 contact hours. Overall, there were 1,309 total attendees, completers of courses and presentations, and 2,783 contact hours from the webinars, courses, and presentations. And then we also have these on the share portal where share catalogers can watch them. So 5 people viewed a total of 25 recorded online with the CMC webinars for a total of 25 contact hours. All right, let's talk about database cleanup. So during FY 2026, 1,888 records were enhanced and identified as merges for Prairie Cat. 1,518 records were enhanced and merged for CCS. 10,323 records were edited, deleted, or merged for Carly. 5,804 brief records were enhanced to full bibliographic records or merged in Follett Destiny for Indian Prairie Community Unit School District number 204. And 3,230 links were checked for the Share 856 field removal project. A total of 22,763 bibliographic records were enhanced, originally cataloged, merged, deleted, or links were retained or removed. And then on the next slide, I'm going to give a little more description about these projects. So Prairie Cat, as probably all of you know, is a consortium of 138 libraries in 22 northern counties. In 2019, Prairie Cat approached the CMC about helping update the records in their database to meet current RDA standards. And they also wanted to identify any records in their catalog that needs to be merged. So after discussing the project and determining the best way to proceed, Prairie Cat used to supply us with notepad files of 100 records, but now they give us 50 records in a notepad file. We do search Vega for the title to look for any duplicate records. We find the item in OCLC and enhance the record if it isn't already. And sometimes it may be necessary to create a new record, which we are always happy to do. And the friendly staff requests the items from the member libraries on our behalf and send them to one of our hubs should we need information that only having the item in hand can provide. When we're finished, we email a spreadsheet to list which updated OCLC records match their local control numbers. We also note any records they will need to merge into their catalog. We provide a .dat file of the updated records so their staff can overwrite the old records with the enhanced bibliographic records. And we have made a lot of progress. In May, the CMC began working on a cleanup project for Mark Field 263, the projected publication date. And then from 2019 to 2026, CMC staff have enhanced, originally cataloged, or identified as a merge or match 27,787 records. Okay, sorry. I had to put my cursor up at the top and now I can't see my thing. Okay. So CARLI, so the Consortium of Academic and Research Libraries, or CARLI, asked us to merge, edit, and delete records from ALMA in 2021. We have 3 special projects catalogers who work almost exclusively on these records. As you can see, they've been quite busy editing, deleting, and merging bibliographic records in the CARLI database. During FY 2026, they edited, deleted, or merged 10,323 bibliographic records. And then between September 2021, when we first started the project, and June of 2026, CMC staff have edited, deleted, or merged 3.178 million bibliographic records. All right, CCS. The CCS staff merged duplicate records from the Vernon Area Public Library into existing bibliographic records in the CCS database using the LEAP interface. Each staff member was assigned specific record sets. CMC staff began working on this project on September 15, 2025, to determine whether 16,309 duplicate records are matches, and the CMC staff completed 1,996 by February 2026 when the project was completed, because there were other people helping. Okay. I know I said that we only do database cleanup for consortia, but Indian Prairie Community Unit School District number 204 is like the size of a consortia. So I talked to my supervisor and we were given permission to work on this database cleanup project. So Indian Prairie serves roughly 26,000 students from the Illinois communities of Aurora, Bolingbrook, Plainfield, and Naperville in DuPage and Will counties. And they've got a breakdown of the schools there. There's 1 preschool, 21 elementary schools, 7 middle schools, 3 high schools, 1 alternative high school, and 1 transition program. And you can see that on the pie chart. And if you can't really see it, you'll be able to see it in the slides. There are 33 District 204 schools in Naperville and Aurora and 1 in Bolingbrook. And the CMC began enhancing brief records in May of 2025. And once we have finished working on the brief records, there's 9,875 of those, we will start on the duplicate record list. And there are 15,281 of those. We log into IPSD's Destiny database to work on this project. In FY 2026, CMC staff enhanced or merged 5,804 records. Okay. Sharing Heartland's available resources equally. The 856 project is our newest project. We began working on this at the end of May of 2026, where 3,230 links were checked and retained or removed. Certain 856 fields have been found to cause confusion and unnecessary links for end users in Aspen. The following record sets contain bib records with 856 fields that need to be examined for accuracy and in most cases removed. There are specific 856 fields that will be retained depending on the nature of the item being described by the bibliographic record. There are 108,576 records that need to be checked, but we are making good progress so far. All right, let's talk a little bit about our metadata cataloging and consultations. So in addition to cataloging and database maintenance, the CMC also does metadata cataloging and consultations. Our metadata cataloger, Kat Anderberg, has a variety of ways she can help meet the metadata needs of Illinois libraries. Some of the projects she's worked on or is currently working on include the Chatham Public Library. They have yearbooks, school documents, school newspapers, city newspapers. Marshall Public Library, they have oral histories and historical photo collection. New Lenox Public Library has Civil War letters, obituaries, schools, churches, and businesses. Chicago Psychoanalytic Institute has digitized photos, letters, realia, etc. The Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library Museum, or ALPLM, has a pictures project with 6 spreadsheets that need subject headings. Stinson Memorial Public Library has a digitized newspaper project, and that's one of her newer projects, as well as the Groff Memorial Library Museum. They have 2 collections of photographs. And then the Mobile Memory Lab. This is a cool grant-funded program where libraries can sign up to have IHLS staff visit and digitize photographs. family documents, letters, official documents, etc., and have digital photographs taken of items like family heirlooms, scrapbooks, shadow boxes, jewelry, etc. CAT then catalogs the digitized items, and that is CAT on the right, helping a patron reformat important family information for future generations. And you can contact her at the email address on the slide if you'd like to discuss how she can help with your metadata needs. MML is changing a little bit. We received an ISHRAB grant where we will purchase 3 mobile kits for libraries. I think, just IHLS libraries can check them out and either digitize collections from their library or hold their own digitization days and have patrons bring in their items. All right, so metadata statistics. So CAT cataloged and digitized 815 items for the Mobile Memory Lab and other libraries, resulting in the creation and upload of 308 simple objects and 299 compound objects. There were 179 typed transcripts, 28 manuscripts, and 1 oral history transcript completed for a total of 815 digitized items. And just to sneak a little peek at what document she's worked on. So she's been transcribing audio files for the Marshall Public Library's Oral History Project. The Friends of Marshall Library have been interviewing citizens and archiving the tapes since 1994. So that is a lot of transcribing that needs to be done. The transcriptions are made available through their website. She also transcribes audio files for the Chatham Public Library. In addition to audio materials, CAT can transcribe handwritten and typed documents, previously available only as unsearchable image files, and provide typed transcriptions. Most of the materials are uploaded to the Illinois Digital Archives website. Handwritten transcriptions can be challenging, so the image on the left is from the Chicago Psychoanalytic Institute collection and says, "To Margaret Gerard in friendship, Therese," from a signed copy of Insight and Personality Adjustment given by Benedek to fellow clinical staff member Margaret Gerard, MD, which is now in the library's collection. And I've got the link to the IDA website when you have access to the slides. So the image in the middle is a photograph of Bill from 1904, which is part of the Strand family photos and was taken at a Mobile Memory Lab site visit. I also have the link to that image. And then the image on the right is the Ford Repair Shop, which is part of the Marshall Public Library Digital Archive Collection, which gathers and preserves historical pictures, events, and memories of the Marshall, Illinois area residents through photographs. So the photographs were collected by the Friend of the Library volunteer, Eleanor Mackey, community volunteers, and library staff. And I also have the link to that image if you want to see it on the IDA website. So here is a list of the CMC resources. So I've included a link to the CMC e-newsletter sign up. The CMC Chronicles started last July 2025, and it is published bi-monthly. It's an e-newsletter. So you can sign up for that, or if there's other things on the screen that you want to sign up for, feel free to do that. But the big blue arrow is pointing at the CMC Chronicles. Then I also have the CMC Chronicles Archives webpage, the CMC Online Cataloging Quest form, the CMC webpage, the group CMC email, and my work email if you want to contact us. As I mentioned, in July 2025, the CMC published the first issue of the CMC Chronicles, a bi-monthly e-newsletter. Each newsletter features an article, a quick tip, announcements, and upcoming continuing education opportunities. During FY 2026, the CMC wrote about the local history center at Mattoon Public Library, text strings, problem subject headings, formatting the same date in MARC records, the bookmobile at Sherman School, recording dates in Dublin Core and the Illinois Digital Archives website, the CMC internship program, adding series statements to MARC records, authority work, searching in the Library of Congress Authorities database, microfilm in the 580-785 MARC fields. The July issue featured the article, "Why Do I Need a Collection Development Policy?" and the quick tip, Waiting Quick Tips. If there's anything that you'd like us to cover, we are welcome to hearing your suggestions. If you do want to send us items, physical items, please use ILDS label. In the final destination, for line of the ILDS label, write CMC. In the from line, add your library. And in the notes line, just add what it is: local author, local history, local genealogy, government document, microfilm, special collections, etc. Circle the system that's closest to you, which would be the ZCH hub Champaign. And if you're sending your items through delivery, please rubber band the label to the items, covering the barcode of the item with the ILDS label, and tape the label to the rubber bands. You can send as many items as will fit in a box. Just make sure the box doesn't weigh more than 40 pounds. You do not need to fill a box to send items to us. You can send us one item at a time, or as many as you have that need to be cataloged, as long as they fit within our purview. In some circumstances, staff can travel to your library to complete cataloging. Travel is on a limited basis depending on several factors, such as availability of staff, distance, size of the collection to be cataloged, condition of the collection, etc. We do require Wi-Fi, though. And then items will be cataloged in the order they are received, with turnaround time varying depending on the scope of the project and other factors. Most items will be returned within 30 days, but typically turnaround time is 2 weeks or less. I'm almost done. So, okay, one of my favorite movies. So, I've got like cataloging skills, shelf writing skills, reference skills, story time skills, skills. All right. Here is the CMC team. So we have Barb Scobie. She is in our Edwardsville office. Myself, Mary Cornell, Eric are all in Champaign. Shelley Stone is in Carbondale. She only works part-time, though. Kat is in the Champaign office. And then we have our 3 virtual remote workers who work on the Carly database cleanup project, and that's Ryan Rafferty, Katie Roberts, and Andrea Joysta. All right, any questions? I know it was a lot. And hopefully you could hear me, because I don't really have a big booming voice. I like to pretend that I do, but I do not. No questions?
I don't see anyone raising their hand here, so there are no questions.
And, if you wanted to apply for my job, it's too late because it closed. But, if you have dreams of being in charge of the CMC, you can maybe sneak your resume in.
Thank you, Pam.
All right. Well, thanks for having me. And hopefully I or someone else can be at your next meeting and give you kind of a brief update. This was a longer one because I hadn't talked to your group before. All right. Thanks, guys.
One moment. I need to share my screen. The next thing on the agenda is the demonstration of the TCP IP importing. One moment. I'm still working on getting the right screen shared. Okay, so one of the newest additions to the ways that you can import MARC records is called TCP IP MARC import. So this allows you to export a record from OCLC connection so that it goes directly to the database. When you use this button, the Action Export button in OCLC, it will be visible in both the import jobs queue in LEAP and the client, but it does take some time for it to appear. Before you set it up in connection, there are some limitations that you need to be aware of. So only final bibliographic records can be imported using the TCP IP connection to OCLC. So if you use it to import on order records or authority records, you will need to get used to changing the export settings and options when you use it for exporting on order or authority records. So these settings exist in Connection and also in WorldShare. So my demonstration on in the video is specifically for Connection, and the instructions are for Connection. I don't know anyone yet besides Wakanda that's used WorldShare. But if you do start using WorldShare, please let me know. I'm just curious. So when you set it up, it will be specifically for the production database and not for training. So everyone will need to use the same import profile. So I've already set this up on the back end, and the import profile is called TCP-IP connection. This import profile is the same one that you normally use for importing final records, but it does have record set names that will be TCP-IP, OCLC, full bibs, final, or provisional. There are some limitations to what you will see in the import jobs queue. So I'll show you that in a second. So it does not show the library name or the username. So instead of your username, it says Polaris exec. And where the library name is, it will say Cooperative Computer Services. And the file name is a random letter and number combination. So if by chance you are importing something at the same time as a different library, you might accidentally open up their import report to find the record set name. But you also have the ability to just look for your record that you imported. If you do start using this, I would appreciate everyone trying to delete your record set that you use because the record sets you take up a lot of space and cause problems for simply reports when we're trying to create reports from record sets. There's a lot in the list. 1 second, I have to change my screen. So I'm going to now demonstrate how to set this up in OCLC Connection. I'm going to log on. So to find the settings, they are the export settings that are in the Tools drop-down menu, then click on Options. On the Export tab, you will see the files that you have set up for exporting. I already have mine set up for the gateway export, but to create a new export setting, you would click on Create, and then click on OCLC Gateway Export, and then press OK. So this has my existing settings in there. So the host name is ccs.polarislibrary.com. The port is 9090. You should set up the timeout settings for 90, the retries 1, and the delay for 0. You should not use the local system authorization or user ID. That will not work. So I did try it, so you can see mine grayed out. But do not check those boxes, and then press OK. So when you select your gateway export settings, you will click on Apply, and then Close. So if you do need to change your settings for importing on order records or authority records, you'll need to come in here and then click on your file again to apply it, and then close. I'm going to apply the gateway export to demonstrate this. So 1 second, I'm going to put down my mic. I need to search for a bib record. I'm just going to bring in a record that I know we don't have in the database that's really old. It's a title on marsupial frogs. There actually are marsupial frogs. You can use either the Action Export button, if you like to use that, or click on Action and then Export. When you click on this button, there is a dialog box that appears. There's currently a little glitch that prevents Polaris from communicating with connection. So it looks like it's not receiving a signal back, but it's still importing it. It may take a while to import. I'm using the incognito browser right now, and I'll click on background processing and press refresh for a while. So it may take a while to appear. 1 second while this loads. So let me see if I can find an example in here from a library while it's waiting. The CE content. Might have to wait a little bit. 1 second. I saw a comment. Nora asks, is this something that is done only with single records, or can it be done with a batch as well? I have not tried it with a batch yet. I know a lot of staff like to just export a single record at a time. But if you save your records to the online save file and then press the export button, it should work with a batch. I don't think it would work if you save it to your local file. That's saved to your computer. For libraries that came from Sierra, they are used to doing it this way. So I know it was something that Waukegan really would like to have and have already started using it. So they tested it for us and like using it. So the advantage, I guess, if you're used to using it through importing through Mark Import, would just be it's like a little bit less clicks to do. So you can see my file now has imported. Still says pending, but you can see the file name is like a random letter combination. The organization is Cooperative Computer Services, and the user is Polaris Exec. And if I look at connection, you can see that there's a timeout waiting for local system response. Tries exceeded. So this is because of a bug. It's going to be fixed with the next upgrade. But when you see this, you can just close it. And this is still working on importing, but will take some time. So this is a bit of a slower process for importing. Feel free to try it, but maybe that's completed. Yeah, so I'm not sure if it's more efficient to press the buttons and mark import, if that would be quicker, or if this is going to take longer for importing it from the TCP IP connection. But it now exists, so if you were from a Sierra library and missed it, it's up here now. But again, please do try to find your import reports and, I mean, not your import reports, your record set and delete your record set. We don't want to keep accumulating these record sets in the system. any other questions about TCP/IP importing?
Kathy from McHenry. Would it be possible to have one of the libraries that has been using this to maybe do a presentation next time for the pros of using this workflow as opposed to what we've been doing with export files?
I can definitely ask them.
This is Ross again from Mount Prospect. You said it's only for final records.
Yes. Yes, it's only for final records.
So I imagine, though, that it will also, if somebody brings in, while you're in there, another one, it will bump as a provisional if it matches on more than one record.
Yes, if it matches to more than one record, it will be saved as a provisional.
And when I was in CCS, when I was in Lake Forest, we could import them through Z39.50.
Yes, you can still do that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I haven't seen any training on that, so I'm not aware of it. Thank you.
There's videos in our online course, cataloging in LEAP, and on the CCS webpage. Yes, if you do like using Z39.50 to import records, you do have that ability. The only benefit to importing from connection would be that you have the local practices macro that you can use. And just briefly, since I have LEAP open, to use Z39.50 in LEAP, you would change the database drop-down menu to bibliographic record remote databases, and then click on the icon that looks like a column or a can, and select the OCLC WorldCat database. There's also the ability to import authority records this way too. There's the authority records button, or authority records database. If you do not see authorities here and want it, you can submit a help desk ticket and I can provide you access for that. Yes. It is. Okay, so the next thing is a demonstration on shortcut keys in LEAP. And it still says pending, so it looks like it's taking a long time to import that. So there's still some kinks to work out of that, I think. But it has been working for Waukegan. So back to shortcut keys. So you can find a list of the shortcut keys under Help, and then click on Keyboard. So there are 3 different columns here of shortcut keys. So we've got the Action section, which is a combination of shortcut keys that can be used through on different screens, like creating a new patron record, saving records that could be like on any record or any work form, opening the work form tracker. So this requires Control+Shift. I'm going to press Control+Shift and D. And one of the things there, you can see you have to click on the right place for the shortcut key to work. I'm clicking back here on the main screen, and there's Control+Shift-D, so work form tracker will open. So we've got one to open the Find tool, that's Control+Shift apostrophe. So if you scroll down, you can see the Mark Editor. There's 2 different sections for Mark Editor. There's one that requires the Shift and one that requires the Control key. So the Shift one is just for moving the tag up and down. That'd be the same as pressing the arrow up and down in the Mark Editor. And then for Control key, we've got several different subcategories. So there's a section here in italics, you can see control fields. This is for the fixed field. And the one where it says split screen, this is for the work form for the compare records work form. So we've got two different save shortcuts. So there's the one under action, which is Control-Shift-C, and the one for the control fields, which is save, changes, and close. So that's specific to when you have a fixed field open. Let's see something in the chat. Just a comment from Aaron at Waukegan. He's been using it for 2 months and they're struggling with the files being stuck and pending when large CCS files are imported. So thanks for that comment. And so I'm going to open now a bibliographic record. And I'm going to navigate to the MARC editor. So one thing about these shortcut keys in the MARC editor, you do need to make sure you're clicking on a specific part of the page or have page selected, have the specific field selected. One of the things that's not in the shortcut keys list in the help is that you can use the tab to change your focus to, so you can see, I don't know if you can see it, it's probably pretty small. I'm pressing tab, and it's moving through each of the fields, including the arrows. And if I just press tab, and you can see, I just press tab and the plus symbol is selected. So for the fixed fields, if you open the fixed field and have this open, you'd be able to use that shortcut key. It's listed here under control fields, save, changes, and close. So open and close would be Control E. This would open it, but you still have to be on it to select it for it to work. So like if this were closed, you would have to select that and press Control E, and that opens it. So then to save changes and close, you press Control S. Oops, that's the wrong. See, it has to be, you have to click on the right spot, or else Control S will open the File Explorer. So I've clicked on something, Control S, so that will close it. So it's a lot of clicks that you still need to do, and I'm not sure if it's really faster because you still have to make sure the focus is on a specific spot for the shortcut keys to work. However, there is a shortcut key for changing the focus. So Control up, Control down does change the focus of a field. So I'm going to start here and press Control down, and it's changing the focus. Are there any questions about shortcut keys in LEAP? Okay, I don't see any other questions. So the last demonstration is updating item book changes in LEAP. So I just learned how to do this. I didn't know this existed, but you can, the difference in the client. So in the client, you do have the ability to update them while you're in a record set and have the bulk change dialog box open. But in LEAP, you have to use the find tool. So in the find tool, you would open the first drop-down menu, the database drop-down menu, and then select item bulk change template. So you would type in the name or just use asterisk to find them all. So this will open your item book change template work form. You can make changes here, make change to the name and the owner, and then save it. So this will be a fairly useful way to make those changes. It's a bit different than how you would do it in the client. Are there any questions on that? Yes, 1 second. Sarah, in the back.
Sarah from OMET. I was wondering, I think when I tried to do this in the client with you, I know it wasn't working to edit those, it was broken. Are there any plans to update that to be fixed on the client side?
I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Does anyone have anything else for the agenda that they haven't added on yet?
Okay. Hold on, I'm trying to get my notes to make sure I'm not going for things. So, when we get them, as far as we're aware, we've done everything for today, yes? Can we get a motion to adjourn? Oh, Lynn has an announcement from, thank you.
I'm Lynn from Lake Forest. Our board has approved our new director. So she won't be starting until September 14th. Her name is Molly Schreibner, and she'll be our new director as of the 14th.
Yeah.
Any other announcements?
Thank you. There is one thing before we get to the motion, one thing I do want to mention. Our next 3 meetings are scheduled to be in the fishbowl. So it should be, as far as I understand, easier not having to walk around with a microphone, and we should all be able to more easily interact and hopefully have more discussions. I remember being in CCS when I was at Lake Forest. That was a long time ago, right, Lynn? And we used to go to each other's libraries for these meetings. I'm seeing some nods in the room, and it was wonderful. That's not going to be happening, but I would like it to be more interactive kind of event here. So we'll see how that's going to work. And if you want to come in the fishbowl and have fun, yay! So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Ross, before you motion, announcement from McHenry. Starting next Monday, we are doing parking lot work that will take us through sometime in October for completion. And in conjunction with that, also replacing skylights.
Great, that'll be fun.
Yep, and I will make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you. Do I have a second? Stephanie from Winnetka has seconded. So we are now, do we have to, never been. I know the last name has Roberts in it, but I'm not good on the rules of order. Do we have to have a vote?
No.
No. Okay, so we are adjourned at 11:56. Thank you, everyone.
Now I